$137 million of HVAC sales were sold through UpFrog. 137 million. That's 3.8% of the market share of the United States. That's the volume that was sold through it. That was just the leads that were generated through the UpFrog program, which were directly attributed through phone number and email through the service management tools that they're running. Whether that be Service Titan, whether that be House Call Pro, direct attribution, right?
Today's episode is brought to you by one of our show partners, UpFrog.
UpFrog is the OG when it comes to pricing transparency online. They find system replacement leads through paid ads and have developed an entire system to drive those hard-to-find system replacement opportunities, nurture the leads, and book them into sold systems before your team arrives to help you grow your business.
Learn more at upfrog.io. I want to give a huge shout out to Marcus Storm for sponsoring today's episode.
You've heard of Google ads, Facebook ads, and SEO, but did you know that there's an entire ecosystem, like 80% of the internet, that ads can be served on that you barely heard about?
That's where Marcus Storm operates.
They leverage data science and AI to build customer profiles for your ideal customers and get your ads in front of prospects before they are ready to hire a pro, planting your brand in their minds early and often.
To chat with the team about how they can help you grow your business, visit marcusstorm.ai.
Today's episode is powered by Sierra Systems.
Sierra is all about removing the clutter and unnecessary touch points to run your home service business profitably.
They use AI dispatching to get the right tech to the right call automatically and job time efficiency to ensure your entire team runs like a profit-generating machine.
Get a tech upgrade for your business at get.sierra.tech/service-business-mastery.
What's up, everybody out there in podcast world? Hope you're having a great day. You're listening to or watching the Service Business Mastery Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Tersh, Blissett, sitting virtually next to my co-host, Joshua Crouch. And we have our longtime buddy, Justin Riley, on the show today. And we're going to talk about marketing spin, ad spin, and everything that UpFrog does and the trends that Justin is seeing as far as leads go. And I hope we're going to dive in a little bit into LSA too. I don't know how much that's even in your wheelhouse, Justin, but I know that personally with LSA, it's turned into kind of PPC almost for me, like where it's just like the clicks are just coming, but they're not qualified leads, but I'm getting charged for them still. It's just a constant battle.
When Google took away your way to combat that with spam cart.
Yeah. And I'll see some that's like a call that doesn't fit the description of anything that we do. And it says it's booked call or something like that. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, there ain't nothing I can do about it now. So
yeah. Well, and I feel like since you've had a baby, I'm like, I kind of miss because we always had our Facebook chats, like our messenger chats.
I know.
And I hear from you, I'm like, oh my God, hey Joseph, what's up? Like, I like all those questions for you because like sometimes I like to think I'm somewhat smart, and then I talk to people like you and I feel really dumb. And thanks, Tersh. But and I mean that in like the most sincere compliment form, because the analysis of different market factors and the fact that like even before we were talking about this, and you've talked about it a couple times on the show before, like the cyclical nature of the trades and the replacement market, like you're just so on top of that stuff, and it's just something I've never really had a lot of access or thought to, but it's like you keep it.
Justin is definitely the go-to guy when you have questions about that kind of stuff, for sure. Justin and Noah,
you know, as we sit here February 5th, 2025, right? The state of the market, I would say, would be soft. Okay. And that's okay, right? Like,
what do you mean by soft?
What I mean by that is, okay, so at UpFrog, what we do is we do online pricing for HVAC replacements, roof replacements, and a couple other things, right? And the benefit to that is we attract customers that are ready to buy, in the market, thinking about buying and shopping to buy. Okay. And when we do that, we get to measure what we call cycle time. When the lead comes in, what is the average number of customers? How long does it take for them to go from, say, lead to you get the revenue? Mm-hmm. Right. And that's cycle time. Okay. And we see that grow and shrink throughout time. Now, the good thing that I'm seeing right now is that the cost to acquire a new customer per lead is extremely low. Okay. So what that tells me is that everybody's pulled their marketing back, which is great. I love that. Okay. This is when we kick ass, right? This is what we call front loading. Okay.
It's so interesting to me because we see like Tommy Mello post about that when there was like people like trying to pull back and like you don't pull. And it's so funny.
No, because
people say this stuff, but they still do it anyway.
The same customer. Now I'm talking about replacements, not repairs. replacement oriented customers. The same customer that's going to buy from you in March and April is right now looking and doing their research. Okay. It's 64-day cycle time right now. Okay. That's what it is. So when the lead comes in, you've got 64 days on average till they buy. Now, it was a little bit shorter last month, but it has extended a little bit. Okay. And this happens, guys. Okay. What you've got to understand is, when is it the cheapest to get my customer?
How do we know that? Like, do we have
higher up?
do we have to spend
I would say what is
thousands of dollars to get there?
Yeah. So when everybody else, when everybody else pulls their marketing back, right? Because remember now, all of these ad platforms are auctions.
Yeah.
I don't care whether it's impression based, like Facebook and social media, or it's Google, which is contextually based auction, right? You're bidding on a contextual term, or you're competing and all that. So it's all an auction, right? So as the market demand drops of like contractors trying to get customers, right? You have more availability. And these ad platforms, especially impression based, okay, want to serve maximum amount of impressions. So they will give you a cheaper CPM or a cheaper ability to serve more customers. Okay. Now, you can't be marketing the same way during these time periods that you would in the summertime, right? Like, nobody wants to know about a financing deal right now if they're not going to buy for 64 days.
Really? Okay. So
because they're not thinking in buying. They're thinking in comparing, shopping, right? They're in shopping mode, right? They want to go look at it. They want to go touch it. They want to smell it. They want to say, oh, and they want to send it to their friend. Hey, which one do you have?
Do they not want to like be prepared out there? Okay. So I'm in the process of building a shop. Okay. I'm pricing it out, and like, I'm not ready to buy yet. It's going to be a month, maybe 2 before I'm ready to pay, put money down. One of the things that kind of caught my eye, because it's one of those things, as soon as you hit the ad one time on Facebook, every other post is an ad for the same product.
Or you get all the competitors of that product.
It's exactly.
It shows that, yes.
Yes, and then in Facebook Messenger, I'm getting the same thing, and in Reels, it's crazy. But one of the things that kind of caught my eye is, like, 1 or 2 of them here and there have said, we offer financing, and like, so now I'm like trying to remember which one it was, because like, I don't need financing.
Well, that's different. That's different than a financing offer.
What do you mean?
Okay. Simply stating that a company offers financing isn't the same as running an ad that says special offer for X financing.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Right. Like, because, and the reason is because maybe you wanted a longer term when they advertise a 12-month, right? You could essentially turn you off and you're shopping. Right. That's so the idea here, guys, is to grab as many freaking people as you can, turn off, don't deflect as many people, don't piss them off, don't like overhound them with text messaging that everybody loves to do today. Right. They love to text all these people and hurt their reputation.
And then not respond to the text message.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
I had the avenue. Boy, I was
when I go look, we
realized that was a big
no
problem.
Responses to anybody.
That's a big change for UpFrog this year. All through this time, we've relied on the office to do all that work for them, right? We would train them how to do it and all that. We have a complete department now. We've hired a ton of people. We book appointments for them. They don't have to touch anything. It's not AI. It's actual humans. We do all the outbound dialing. We do all the texting. We do all the responding 24 hours a day.
So I know you probably know this number, and it probably changes depending on the market, but on average, what would you say like the closing percentage is doing it that way versus like the office, the way the office relied on?
Oh my gosh, the office. I mean, seriously, UpFrog when we first started had about a 5 to 7% schedule rate on the massive leads because they just didn't know how to do it. Yeah. We got up to around 15%. Now we're upwards of 30%.
Okay.
With our internal team. And for that was huge, right? And guess what? We didn't raise our prices. We didn't change anything. We just knew it was something we had to do in our business to help everybody because it was too hard for us to scale companies because we were reliant on them to hire more people. And it was like, we can't do it this way. We have to provide the service of a full product, right? So that's one of the real things that we're so excited about. And when we got into the roofing vertical, we found out that the businesses were much different than the HVAC industry.
Right? How so?
Oh my gosh. Like most of them don't have like a call center and answers calls all day. Like
it's just like on their phone.
Different business. Yes. Different business. So it would be foolish of us to try and force our model on them if they weren't able to even make it work. So that was a big decision that we made that said, hey, we need to do this. And that's the most helpful thing we can do.
Kudos to y'all for not trying to force the industry to bend to meet your need, like to meet your software. Because there's other softwares out there who have kind of forced even us to move in certain directions.
It was more about control for us than anything, to be honest, right? As a business owner, we want to make sure that, number one, we can provide the best product, but if there are downfalls or shortcomings to your business, you want to be able to have some control over that process, right? Because before it was just basically we were picking winners and losers with a flip of a coin, whether they would work or not. And then we would get on these calls and it was all punitive. Well, text them back. You ever thought about answering your phone? Like, that's a terrible client relationship to be in, right?
Yeah.
But it happens so many times. It's like, all right, it's just not meant to be, right? Like, we have to change, build a better product, right? Once we did that, like, our churn went away and like the results went through the roof. Like last year alone, all right, you ready for this? $137 million of HVAC sales were sold through UpFrog. 137 million. That's 3.8% of the market share of the United States.
Whoa.
That's the volume that was sold through it. Okay.
Now that includes them selling their sales, or that was just your outbounders selling that?
That was just the leads that were generated through the UpFrog program, which were directly attributed through phone number and email through the service management tools that they were running, whether that be Service Titan, whether that be House Call Pro, direct attribution, right? No, funny things. It was just, if the customer came through, okay, our form and our sizing tool and bought from that customer afterwards, we counted that revenue. And, I'm just so proud of our team.
Dude. That's
it's
mind blowing. That's
it's
wild.
insane. And, I've always believed in it. Our team has always believed in it. And here's what happens, right? If somebody's used this in the past, they say, oh, that's bullshit, right? Here's what happens. Most of the time, everybody's fired up. They come in. They start with us for 3 weeks. We tell them, look, this is going to take 64 days for you to normalize, okay? We know it. It just is what it is, right? It's faster than SEO, but slower than PPC. All right, that's where we're at, right? But everybody that comes in wants us to either save their business immediately, or they want what these companies that have been with us for a year, they want that in the first month. And I'm sure, Josh, you see that same thing in SEO, right? Like, some of these guys, they're promised the world and they think that there's this magic bullet and, consistency and really sticking with something. And the people that do, right? And we even offer a 90-day promise. Stick with us for 90 days. If you don't make more than what you spent, we'll give you the money back, right? It's simple as that. And people still quit after 3 weeks. Oh, that'll never work.
Really?
And it's like, I'm telling
not
you.
long enough at all
I'm telling you, it happens.
Back when I was in the second HVAC company I worked at, the first time I had somebody run Facebook ads for us. And I remember out of the first handful of leads we closed, actually Brittany was doing sales for me. She closed like 2 or 3 of the first 10. And I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. But then it starts going cold because I didn't have a follow-up system. Like, I didn't have any of the stuff I would have now. And then it was like, it kind of loses its luster. Or if it doesn't, like, I've seen those people, like, we go out to a couple of leads, there's garbage, there's price shop. Well, yeah, everyone's price shopping. Like, they're all, that's what we do as humans, is we price shop. But it's that consistency in the follow-up. We've all seen that what touch points 1 to 12, like it's 7 to 12 is where like the magic really happens. But everyone's like, well, I tried like 3 times and it didn't work.
But the thing is, like, you have to try, okay? And what we found, I'll give you a little tip, right? There's certain customers that fill out a lead form that want a replacement and their system's broke. There are certain customers that want a tune-up to confirm, and they want the confidence of the technician to let them know that, yes, they need to get their system replaced. And a lot of times people go in and they either ask, will you sign up for the estimate? Yes or no? And it's a binary decision to the customer. And look, nobody wants to spend money on an HVAC system right now. Okay.
Do they ever?
No.
Maybe when it's 110 in Phoenix, maybe they do.
There was some exuberance during COVID. There was a lot of credit liquidity and everybody was buying everything, which was great. But, now the game has changed, and I feel like we've done a really good job in Phoenix with it. And that was a very difficult market. And
why? Because of competition?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And, you know,
You're talking about one of probably the most competitive markets in the country because it, like, literally, you cannot go without an air conditioner here.
Yeah, and
Like, there's no way I had the air conditioner on the other day. It's
I
February.
got it on right now. It's running right now.
I mean, I don't know many people that have gone from 70 to 80 million in 3 years, or 7 to 80 million in 3 years. Like, and we
7
didn't raise
million
debt.
to
We
80
didn't do
million.
that.
Okay, and so it's just so people are clear, because I know we talked about this before and we know the story. So take us back, so like, to get that trajectory, just so people can understand the impact.
So we had a client come to us that knew nothing about us. UpFrog was new in the beginning of UpFrog, and they said, "Wow, this looks really cool." And so I met with them, and we put a plan together. And the first month we spent $5,000 in media for this company. And this company was really special because they were really consistent. It didn't matter how many leads we put in; they always scheduled a percentage, like the X percentage. They were really good at it. And then every time their salesman went to the home, they would close 30%. Right? I mean, basically, we built the business on a 15% schedule and a 30% close and a $12,000 job average. That's how we built the business, right? And then all we did
like that, then you know
that's all it was. That's all it was. And we just kept pouring more money into it. So in the first month, I don't think we sold a whole lot, but there was a lot of promise there, right? Because the first month with UpFrog is going to be a little slow, unless you start at like a really high peak demand time where, you know, you're going to get those customers.
It's easy. Yeah,
exactly. So the second month, it started flying. We were running between 10 to 15 times what we were generating. So we were running 10 to 15x the entire summer. I think by the end of the summer, we were spending 100,000 a month. And then from there, it just kept going up, you know? So we were not everything in that business, right? There was a whole team of different paid media channels, but it was run by math. It wasn't run. And look, here's
no
the thing.
feelings. Like, I feel like this is good.
No branding, no wrapped vans, no.
I can confirm this. I remember.
Okay.
I remember when we talked, Justin, and you told me who it was, and I'm like, wait. I took a picture of it. I sent it to you, like, them. It was. They had the most inconspicuous van you've ever seen in your life. Now they have
a hand scratch logo. It was a hand scratch logo by one of the board members. Mm-hmm.
Did they start out with board members?
No.
Okay.
No. But there was no debt raised on the business or anything like that. Like, it was pure organic bliss. It was the fun. It was like the best experience.
How is that even possible? Like, to go.
Okay. So a couple other little things that we did, right, is we knew it was extremely competitive market. And what a lot of people don't understand, okay, or don't track or don't conceptualize in the financial model is how much callbacks and problems in installations really hurts your cash flow moving forward, right? And it hurts your reinvestment of capital, right?
Yeah.
So we went into it saying 14 and 16 SEER only, no non-communicating, right? Basic systems, keep it simple, sell the box. Okay. And
dude, there's so many times we get stuck on callbacks because of
I'm telling you,
communicating wires.
If I would start a business tomorrow. Okay. If I were to start a business, or somebody's starting a business right now, listen to me very clearly. Start your business, run a pro forma, run your modeling. That 14 SEER, you can make 20% net earnings. If you design your business around that, I promise you will have a very successful year. Okay. But what we see is, and I don't always blame the contractor. There's these manufacturers that send you down to their plant, tell you about all these special things. And look, I get it. Look, they're trying to run their business too. But at the end of the day, guys, right? 14 and 16 SEER equipment installed correctly with maybe some comfort stuff like little humidifier, maybe air cleaner, nice thermostat, beautiful warranty, some service plan. I'm telling you that fits 80 to 90% of the market. Okay. You're overselling your customers where they're at right now. Okay. I can, especially February right now, I can tell you, I can look at it. And here's why also. Okay. If you can keep your job values below 14% for your average job ticket right now for an installation, okay, you will have vastly greater success financing customers. Okay.
Say that one more time.
If you can keep your job average, okay, less than 14% right now, or $14,000, $14,000. Okay. Anything above 14,000, even 10,000 in some markets, because some markets are more credit sensitive than others. Okay. All right. Now I know
how do we determine that? Like, how do we figure out if our market
you could do an internet search and see what the average credit score of your market is, right? And just do a FICO search, and just Google it. Like Minnesota up north in the Northeast, you're going to have higher rates. Down south, you're going to have lower credit scores by average, but the idea here is like, don't set your customers up to fail. You know what I mean? Like don't quote a $20,000 system on everybody. And then they you know how hard it is to get $20,000 right now? Like on a 680 credit score, which used to be pretty decent, but now they got a couple dings. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the banks just aren't giving it. Or if they do, you're paying 17% on that shit.
Or $80,000 duct systems.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, everybody wants to sell big numbers, rah, this and that. But look, let's be practical. If you want to sell to the masses right now, okay, it's in my opinion, it's better to run a higher margin 14 and 16 SEER business than it is a 20 SEER business. Okay. And it just is what it is. If you're trying to grow, if you're just going to be 2-3 million, do high-end installs, maybe do 100 installs a year, no problem. But if you're trying to pump out, per crew, 250 installs a year, you need to keep them busy. And the market's not the same as it used to be, at least what I'm seeing. Maybe somebody else has got it figured out, but, we're in a lot of markets and we deal with replacements. And that's just where we see the sales velocity at. We can look at like the difference between a contractor at 11 to 12,000 average ticket and 15, and we're seeing a 10 to 13% decline in sales conversion rate.
Mm-hmm. That's good stuff, especially before the summer comes and people, those are things to keep in mind as you guys are getting busier.
Don't be caught with your pants down, right? It's like if we know we're going into these situations, right, then prepare for it. Go to your manufacturer and say, look, I know we sold a lot of 18 SEER last year and you were giving me this special pricing on that. What can we do to bring down our 14 and 16 SEER price? And if we do sell an 18, right, you can raise my prices a little bit, because all they do is play a game, right, guys? Like that's all they do.
The margins have. When I was on the TSM side, we had to even things out. So like if it was a big project, we would give special discounted rates, because we also knew that they were going to get the PVC and all the other little intricate things where we were getting our 30% margin on.
Yeah. And a lot of times you got to get your core products different where you got to get your brand equipment, right? Like you can shop that, right? And be competitive, right? Like we are the catch. The contractors are the catch. Without us, they don't move equipment. Okay. So, and I know it's tough right now. I know it's hard to negotiate a deal with you've got money on the credit line. I've been there. I've done that. It's tough. If you owe them money, then you're going to ask them for a discount on equipment.
Yeah.
That's hard, right?
What do you say? What do you recommend for a contractor that maybe they're just starting out, like this year's their first year, maybe second year?
I would say keep it super, super simple. Like really, don't go extravagant. Okay. Remember now, you can have a $2 million business with one crew of install and one service guy.
Mm-hmm.
And you could probably have 30
in today's
35% margins.
Yeah,
you could. And I would do that. I would stay competitive at what people charge at 5 to 7 million. I wouldn't charge like you do for a 2 million. Right. But I wouldn't go to complex equipment. I just wouldn't, because what we have seen, and I don't care what brand it is, over the last couple of years, the equipment that came out of COVID has created a lot of problems. Yep. And I know it's just not me and the people I talk to. Okay.
Well, we have, I actually was working on an Amana system the other day, and it might have been yesterday. I think it was actually, but it was a communicating system, and it just had all kinds of bugs, and it's 3 years old. So right in the prime of the COVID and everything, but like it was just buggy. Like every time I'd fix one little thing, then it was like, all right, these wires are loose over here, or these connectors are loose. I'm like, man, this is just wild. It was started off as a very simple, almost a tune-up job, and turned into spending 4 hours there, just going through the whole system, taking everything apart, putting it back together.
And I want people to understand, it's not just the time lost on that. It's the opportunity lost of where you could have been somebody else, right? And that's what a lot of people don't see, right? And a lot of times, who fixes the hardest problems?
Your
specs.
Yeah.
The ones you don't want to fix those problems.
Right. Right. It's like, but we want to beat our chest and put the install picture on Facebook that looks so good of this hugely over-designed system. And I get it, guys and gals. Like I do. Like, but in
My
reality,
favorite are those technician Facebook groups. Those are fun.
and ultimately, somebody finds something wrong with every single one. Right?
Always. There's never been a perfect install in the history of the world.
But they won't post their install. They'll talk about it.
Oh no.
Hello, home service professionals. Do you want to maximize your marketing budget? Then you need to be using call tracking from CallRail. Let's say you noticed a spike in new leads this month. To find out what's driving them, you just log into your CallRail dashboard. Is my new Facebook ad outperforming my other ads? Or is paid search knocking it out of the park? Or maybe it's time to retire those newspaper ads. Since CallRail assigns a unique phone number to each of my marketing efforts, I know where my best leads come from and which efforts to scrap. CallRail shows you your most cost-effective marketing channels so you can get back to business. Go to callrail.com/SBMpod and try it for free. Yo, Joshua, really fast, I want to talk about online scheduling for the trades and how they should be affordable, effective, and easy to manage. Let's take a really quick second here and share a little bit about the latest group of experts that we've teamed up with, Autobot.ai. Our team of industry experts has developed a best-in-class scheduling app that seamlessly integrates with your CRM. Every booked job goes directly into your software and becomes one of our advanced marketing analytics, which is really cool. We can automatically select the marketing campaign of your choice based on how the customer came to your site.
Yeah, Tersh, those industry-leading analytics tells you everything that you're going to want to know about your lead, where they came from, what they did before scheduling, and what page they converted on, plus other things. On average, about 75% of people who start a booking with our app complete it, but we'll give you a more granular reporting that shows conversion rates based on marketing source and medium to help improve your marketing efforts.
So wait a minute. What about the other 25% that didn't book? How do you as a consumer deal with your current scheduler helping you to reach out to those lost leads?
It's a great question, Tersh. This is one of the power features of Autobot is when we say we help you book more jobs, we mean it. So we'll help you instantly send a text message to customers who didn't complete their booking, helping you keep the conversation going so you can keep your schedule full.
Nice. That's what's up. Okay, so honestly, with no contracts, affordable monthly rates, and you really don't have anything to lose. And so it's a great program to try out. And if you use SBM, when you go to sign up for it, you'll actually save $1,500 on the setup fees. So honestly, give it a shot. Tell us what you think.
Give the options, but don't put little pressure push towards the higher end. Is that what you're saying?
Look, I think that giving all the options is important, but when you push a customer above to go to the other ones, like they're going to tell you, I think it's really about listening to what the customer needs. Okay. And listening to what your installers are competent with. Like, I can tell you, you're going to ruin a customer if you don't know how to install and you send your guys over there and it breaks. That's a bad situation.
How do you match that up with a sales team that lives on commission and a team, in making sure that the team can support those things? Because there's obviously some.
Do you want to know the secret? People aren't buying the box, guys.
They're buying your service. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for years, we haven't advertised that we were, install and train. You and I have talked about this before. Like we purposely have avoided putting a brand on the side of our vans.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just a very simple person. Like I'll give you, for example, I have trained 20-SEER inverter systems in my house.
Yeah.
They have been nothing but problems. Nothing but problems.
I have an XP18 that's giving me nothing but.
You're probably telling you I got XP20s and I've had nothing but problems with them. And I know a lot of people that have installed a lot of the XP18s and American Standards and things like that. And just look, I think you do a business to provide for your family and provide a service that's good. Now, unless you have a business that can really charge exorbitant fees for those, because it's going to be exorbitant, because you have to look at the whole thing. Like you got to look at, you're going to have 2 callbacks on every install. You got to price that in there. If not, you're going to get clobbered. And when you do that, I just think it makes a harder sale, and you have to go in unbiased. If you truly want to run, a 20% net margin business at scale as you grow, like you have to Do what you're good at and not what you're not. And you have to resist.
I do think that's a really important point, because I think people, like, some plumbers are a little bit more like this. They'll specialize in things a little bit more. Like HVAC is like, well, we do everything related to your heating and air conditioning system, but we're not really like the best at the one thing, or the, you know, and they don't focus on what they're really good at and just push that thing. But it's similar. Like, you're a prime example, Justin. You guys do a very, very specific thing, and you became the best at it. And that's what's helped you guys grow and you know, all your success. And I think that's not often. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I think that it's very difficult in the beginning because you want to be everything to everyone, right? You're so excited. You got this new business and you just want
it's easy.
to tell
people ask you questions, and same digital. You know how many times I've had to like swat people away? Like, no, we don't do that. No, we don't do that. Like, I say no more than I say yes.
We did it out
people
from
are
the
like,
beginning. I've made this mistake. We hired people that we should have never hired, right? And we have turned away more people, and I'm sorry, that are less than 5 or 10 million, because we know what works now, right? And the consistency of our program. So it's the same way.
Can we go into that a little bit? Because I got a bad review like a couple months ago, because there's a certain level of contractor, and it's not, I'm not trying to like make someone mad. I'm just like, we know what works best with our programs, just like you should know the best customer that works for you. Like, if you don't service mobile homes and that's not your thing, like, you shouldn't go out to a mobile home job and take that customer. But because we're the marketing company, we're just like supposed to take everybody.
Okay, so let's get back to that, Chris. Like what made Semper Fi so powerful was that no matter how much media and leads we sent at them, the financials always were the same. They were always consistent. Okay, now we've done contractors that are 300 million in annual revenue, and we've done contractors that are 500,000 in annual revenue. Okay, now where we start to see consistency in HVAC residential companies in the United States is $5, kind of $10 million range. You know, we took on about a year ago a company that was about $3.5 million, and we did like 3 interviews with them because I wasn't sure whether we were going to do it or not. We grew them to 20 million in 1 year. Okay, but the key to this, okay, is you have to be consistent, and you have to have the consistent booking rate. You have to have the consistent selling rate. You have to have the consistent install rate. And the most important part is you have to have a leader in an organization that can hire more people.
So, like, if people are listening to this and they're looking for tips of like, because we all know that there's a lot of people that start a business just because they're not a good employee, or they don't want to be employed by somebody else. What are the traits that you've seen from like the people at Semper Fi, this business that you're talking about that grew, that you maybe it was a little small from where you normally take? And
no, typically they're male or female. I've seen both, between the ages of 35 and 45, typically have 1 or 2 kids, and they typically want a better life for their family. And that's like the thing that they want, right? So if that's you and you've got a business that you really want to grow, like, let's talk, you know, because we're unconventional. I don't care what market it is. We just did it in Phoenix. We did it in Seattle. We've done it in over 100 markets, right? We've done it in a lot of different markets, but I can tell you.
Have you done it in a market that's like super rural?
We have.
Yeah.
Now, we can't grow as fast, but we can penetrate it, right? And, you know, I don't care whether you have a brand or don't have a brand, okay? Brand can make it easier, not always, okay? But we did Semper Fi with no brand, 80 million, no brand. Then they rebranded, which is smart now, right? I'm not knocking branding. It's very smart, okay? But
in your opinion, do you do it early or later? We've asked a lot of people the same question, and
that's a loaded question.
It's very opinionated.
That is totally a loaded question.
It is.
It really depends on the capital constraints of the business. Okay,
I mean, because like, so
branding is not cheap, guys.
Exactly,
branding is more expensive when you're cheaper. Okay, in the moment. Okay, now long term, maybe not. But here's the thing: I always stress this: return of capital speed. You invest in branding, you are not getting that capital back for at least 12 months.
Exactly.
It ain't happening, guys.
Because there's guys out there that are like, like $500,000, and
I've seen ones even cheaper, like not cheaper, less than that.
And
they're like $200,000 to $250,000. Actually, Justin, I think we've had a conversation about this in the past. And that's the first thing they do in like year 1. But then it takes them. They can't spend. Well, they can't spend money on other things to actually generate leads and business today.
It tells me about the focus of the operator and what is important to them. And that's their ego versus growing their business. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it's a very
But on
big
the
tip off to that.
to play devil's advocate there, what happens when you grow and you're at, 10 million or 20 million?
Oh, I think you brand before 10 million, but
Okay,
I
so
don't
we
think,
have
I
like
don't think you brand at 500, 300,000, in my opinion. Now, if you have, say, $200,000-$300,000 set aside, you're going to run negative cash flow for a little bit, not afraid. In what I don't like seeing, here's what it is. I don't care when you brand, but I don't want you to see you take efficient means of generating jobs of capital away from the business to brand in the beginning. So if you've got $35,000, $40,000 or $50,000 to, that doesn't take away from your paid media or PPC or things like that to grow your business, I'm all for it. But when I say companies coming to make the decision, should I spend on paid media or should I spend on branding in the very beginning? They're going to be very stagnant if they don't, because it's like, you got to jumpstart the business, right? I mean, Josh, when you grow a GMB, right? Or what, GPP, I'm old now. Like, it takes a little bit of time, right? And investment and consistency, right? And what I don't like seeing is them, like, I'm very fiduciary with marketing dollars. And I know that I can put it in it and I can get them 8 to 10 times return on their investment every single time. And branding is not going to give you that same effect the first year.
Yeah, it's a while for that to get that back.
And if somebody believes that it can, and if somebody believes that it can, show me a direct attribution that shows that. And I will gladly change my tune. But the problem with it is, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Nobody can prove either way.
We had this conversation.
It is hard to prove.
We were talking about
impossible to prove, guys.
And because people needed an exact ROI on certain ads that we were running. And
my problem with it also is that it's very difficult to separate existing from new, because all I care about is new customers to you. And that's how we get a marketing budget, right? Like, how much do I spend a month for marketing? I've heard that question asked a few times, like, what percentage, right? Well, the first thing you look at is how many of your customers are existing and how many of your customers are going to need to be new customers, right? So you got an old line business that's been around forever, maybe 50-50. Great. So we can take a 10% marketing and we can print 20% of every single job we do in paid media, and we end up with a 10% marketing at the end of the month. So for an example, a $10,000 install, I can sell that install and I could spend up to $2,000 on it conservatively, because 50% of the revenue of the business is coming from existing customers that we don't have to spend any marketing dollars on. So I can spend double on paid media to get a 10% ratio. Everybody understand that concept?
Jason from Facebook commented, we ran branding for a $2 million HVAC company in a heavy PE market and increased new client acquisition by 3 to 4x.
Where did the customers
top line revenue?
Where did the customers come from, Jason? Did they come from phone calls? Did they come from, and when you track them, where did they come from? Because if they came through your GMB, I can't say that they absolutely came through the branding effort. I'm sorry.
The only way that, and even it would be really hard to tell you. I mean, there are some things you can tell because Google gives you like how many brand searches have been done, and you can kind of match that up to see if it's increased or not increased. But it is difficult because you don't know if just because they search it, that means that may not be that person converted.
And that's what a lot of people are very attracted to the UpFrog program with. When people come through, they fill out our form. There is no guesswork. It either came through our system or it didn't. Okay. And it's just the easiest way of attributing things that, marketing companies are going to argue about: first click, last click, modified, all the different attribution models, right? To benefit themselves, right?
Yeah.
We do what we kind of just call it direct attribution. Like, if they came through our form and they bought from you, we kind of generated that. And then we do a mix of, okay, were they existing or not? And then we get a new customer CAC, right? Because that's what's the important part.
Say that one more time. You get a new customer what?
CAC, customer acquisition cost. Like,
or what you're just talking dirty to us.
Ooh, from a little New York accent, maybe Jersey. I don't know. We've kind of stayed on this lane of ourselves. And look, there are so many good professionals. Like, the work Dan Antonelli and them do are phenomenal. Like, I'm just not that creative of a person, right? And I'm a very,
same way.
and it's like, is that a part of a business that's important? Yes. Have I seen the Semper Fi brand improved since it's been rebranded? Didn't happen immediately. Actually, it went down. To be completely honest,
Can you share
it went down
that? Because
and then went up.
I've seen that happen before, where someone does a rebrand and they lose, a certain percentage of their clientele. Yeah. But most of the times it's when they've changed the name and the logo and the catchphrase and everything.
Look, I mean, it's a risk, right? In the long run, I don't think you lose doing it. I really don't.
Right.
Okay. In the short term, you better be prepared, right?
Well, I think
sometimes that comes from the way Google recognizes the logo, I think, and the authority piece and prominence. I think
that's the other thing you have to remember is when you change the name, you change the domain.
Yeah, man.
All that stuff's got to get updated.
Oh, that's please stop changing domains, please. Can we stop doing that?
It's a pain because everything's got to get redirected the right way, and it takes weeks. And then Google's already been a pain to index new stuff, so now they don't believe they don't know your brand. So there's always a dip before. Let's like just say there's a dip before, and that's why you have to be ready for that stuff. And I think not enough people are prepared for that. Or they do it. It's like right before summer, and they do it, and it's like, wait, how come I'm not busier? And it's because these things are working in the background, and it takes just like UpFrog getting started in the 64-day thing. It takes time to change.
Thank you to Company Cam for supporting today's episode.
These guys are changing the game for contractors with their smart photo app.
Keep your projects documented and streamline your team's communication with even your most complicated jobs.
Try it for free for 14 days and get 25% off of your first 2 months at companycam.com/SBM.
What's up, friends? Never miss a call again. So our partners with Free to Grow, their world-class AI voice CSR platform is designed specifically for trades businesses with industry-leading integrations and dedicated onboarding team. You'll never have to worry about missing calls or losing leads again. Whether it's booking, rescheduling, answering customer questions, or escalating to your internal staff, their AI handles it all 24/7. And not only that, it can book directly into your FSM. So stop wasting time and money on leads that get fumbled. Let Free to Grow turn every call into a book job.
Okay. First question would be, what did you do year over year, right? What was the difference? What was the growth, right? And that's what I would look at first, right? Because typically when you're, a $2 million business, you did maybe $1 million the year before, $1.5 million, and now you did $2 million, right? Maybe not, but and doing good installs for a year will give you more of a lift than branding will, because people will talk about you, right? And it's getting the good reviews.
Those usually are the best reviews, are the ones when they spend.
And the only reason I'm hesitant there is, like, if you had a separate phone number for your van, or you ran a specific campaign that was attributed to just that particular piece of mail or yard signs or something like that, right? And then it's trackable. But nobody, and I mean nobody, could tell you exactly what percentage was referral based, or maybe somebody mentioned something. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but the problem is, if I want to grow from 7 to 80 million in a year, right? I got to know exact numbers. Like, I got to be a scientist, and that is my problem with it.
So, like, the thing, one of the toughest parts about the the branding aspect of things is, like, let's take Steven, for example. You see Steven's vans running around town, and that's a branding aspect. But then I go to Google and I type in Galbraith, and so then Google gets the credit for the vans that are running around town. And nobody's going to remember the phone number that's on the van. Like, we have specific phone numbers on our vans. Right. So, but I mean, the whole thing, like, Dan makes a good point about this too. Like, having a large phone number on your vans is not good, because the only time we
use the space,
you want people to remember the company, not the phone number, right?
Well, not only that, the people are going to call in on that van whenever they're pissed off at them in bad traffic. And so that number being
I am going to get a lot of hate for what I said today, right? There are some brand loyalists that are out there, and look, the only reason I don't understand it as well is I just don't do it, and I don't understand it, right? Now, it works for some. There are companies that do just branding, no PPC, no paid media, no direct stuff, and they just
do they have, like, the market share when that's the case, and, like, they've been in business for a long time?
They do mass media. They'll do TV and radio and things like that, direct mail. They'll do direct mail, which was the oldest form of PPC, right? Direct mail is highly attributable. I love direct mail.
Well, I think when people make that especially when they're sizable, they got a couple $1 million, they have some cash saved up and they do a rebranding.
Yeah.
That is also like them taking their poker chips and putting them all in the middle of the table. They go all in because they're spending a really big chunk of money. So they're doing community events. They're doing all kinds of different things that they want.
And I think it's even more than that, guys, right? Like branding, your team believes in the cause, right? So now you can get these higher tickets. They believe in the company more so they can sell better, right? There's a lot to this branding component than just the picture of the van rolling down the road, right? It's you're kind of staking the company as like, this is who we are. This is who we stand for. And that's powerful, right? Most people come to UpFrog because they want leads or appointments, right? They go to Dan Antonelli to build a movement, right? But I guarantee you, every single one of those businesses that are using Dan Antonelli spend more in paid media than they do in branding. They may tell you otherwise, but I guarantee you they are because I'm supporting many of them, okay? And I know the blends and the averages, okay? I'm not knocking one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, typically I see around 85% paid media, 15% branding. That includes Grassroots, right? I think that's a very underdeveloped division that a lot of people do not do. What do you mean
about Grassroots? Talking about community events,
cars and coffee, local events, stuff like that. I'm telling you, that is without the X factor in 2025. So if you're not doing that,
how do you
match that with UpFrog and the online estimate? Everybody that walks by, hey, you want to get a quote on an HVAC system instantly? Like you match that with Grassroots and you're smoking your market, okay?
Dude, so one of the things I've gotten a kick out of, and I knew it was your company because I seen Noah go into Target.
Do you like that?
Yeah, I was like, check out Noah over here on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I saw the one where Justin went to Home Depot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's great, isn't it? So that's another thing. We've done two major things with UpFrog to really improve our system. We no longer rely on the companies to book themselves, right? Like we have our own employees that help you work the system to book the appointments. Number two, we've now got a content fountain, right? We've got a whole content team that is out providing really good, authentic, modern content. Like I cannot stand the jingles and the rinky dink, like, come on down to Charlie G's, get your special AC unit. Like that stuff just drives me crazy and it doesn't work on social media. So, you know, you're going to see a lot more of this authentic, neat stuff rolling out. And you know what, dude, it's clobbering it. Like 10 times cheaper lead cost than we had before. 10 times.
Do you have your contractors doing that same thing that you're doing?
Some of them want to do it, right? Okay. We'll shoot one and they'll be like, oh, I could go do that. And a lot of times what happens is we wait like a week, we never hear back. Oh, I tried and it was a lot harder than I thought. Like,
like think about it, to go up to go, unless you decide you want to like have a family member in an aisle and do this, the thing, like to go up to a stranger and ask the question of like, how would you buy a heating and air conditioning system today? And
if I was in Target and Josh came up to me, I immediately would be like, oh, no, get him.
He's bringing it out. He's sticking him.
He's getting stuck like a pig.
So, Justin, before we, because it's already been 46 minutes. Like literally, time flies every time we have these conversations.
Yeah, it does.
But
love it.
I think last time we had John, I think you just had your son, but now he's about 9 months old. I kind of want to talk about that mix between, you know, family life and professional life, because you
quote unquote balancing.
Well, you've been a very hard worker. Like you were so into like your business and what you were doing and all that kind of stuff. Not to take away from anything in the family, but you were locked in. Like we talked almost every day.
Yeah.
And so talk about that really, transition and what that's meant for you.
I got to be honest. It was much more difficult than I thought it was going to be. Okay. And nobody seemed to warn me about like the dad guilt. Like everybody talks about like the mom guilt. And like, there was this level of guilt where it was like, I'd either be guilty I'm at work or guilty that I'm with my son and not working. Right. And it was just this balance piece that I couldn't find my footing. Right. And very, very challenging for me in the beginning. You know, we didn't have the easiest pregnancy. And then you've got this new being that's there and it's like, holy crap, what do I do? You know, and it's like, oh my God. And, you know, we've worked it out now. Now he's saying mama and dada. He's eating, he's smiling, he's laughing, he's standing up. It's just incredible, right? But I got to tell you, you know, if you're expecting your first child and no one has told you from the perspective of a male dad, brand new, like I'm 43 now. Like it was such a upending for me. Not that it was bad, it was just wow that it whacked me on my side.
Yeah.
And like it just became this isolation almost, guys. Like it was like I'd work for a little bit and I'd be with the kid and then I just wouldn't talk to anybody. And it was pretty dark there for a little while, you know?
Yeah, sometimes you feel like you're alienating all the friends that you've had.
I'm telling you, man. And it was like not purposefully. It just I became a little withdrawn and it hurt a little bit. And it was like
the thing about it is it's like every good friend though, they know this, they understand it. You know what I mean? And so like I have friends of mine, Lance is a perfect example, like best buds in the world. Don't talk to him for 6 months to a year, get back with him and go to like the Georgia-Florida football game. And it's like we haven't skipped a beat. You know what I mean? And that's the way it is. When you grow up and you get a family, it just happens that way sometimes. And you have to give yourself grace as the business owner of multiple businesses or, you know, having multiple children. You're and being like we are, and
it's a hard thing to give yourself grace, though.
Man, I am just so proud of our team. Like our team has done. I'm so proud of them. They stepped up and filled the role where I wasn't at, and I couldn't be more proud of them. They are freaking rock stars, and they didn't miss a beat. Right. Just really, really, it's just really heartwarming. And it's nice now to get back in the groove of things and to get rolling. And we have so many interesting new products coming out in the next couple months that are going to just be very much home services changing. I like to mix things up a little bit and go against the grain a little bit. And we've got some stuff coming out that I think a lot of people have been waiting on. Then they're going to get it. And it's going to help a lot of people.
You're just going to leave us there?
I know, just cliffhanger.
Here's one of the problems. We've never been able to help the small guy.
Okay. So
that's been a real thing for me. Like, I can't tell you how many times we've gotten cussed out by contractors. Either we've already sold that area or we have exclusivity with a separate agreement right in that market, or they're too small and it sucks to not be able to help them. We have a solution that's coming out soon that will help every single home service company in every single vertical. Okay. And I'm really excited about it. I know we've got about 57 different verticals and it's going to be phenomenal. Okay. And
I didn't even know there was 57 different home service
verticals. There are.
Thanks for letting me know there's 57 of them.
and you know, I mean, look, I think that bringing transparent pricing, you know, I started back in 2015 and in one of my original pitch decks from 2015, I said that in 2025, like there would be this movement towards more transparent pricing, and look where we're at. Right. So I feel like it's almost my duty to at least give it to the industry. And I think that not everybody and not every customer will use it, but I think that there are a certain segment of customers that want to now, and to have a portable solution that can fit any size contractor that's super affordable. I'm talking super affordable, because I want everybody to have this efficient tool to use. And that's really the mission behind this new thing, and more to come on that. And I'm really excited about it. You know, UpFrog has kind of been a premium product because it's intense, right? Like we grow and we grow fast. So it hasn't been for everybody. And for all the contractors out there that kind of got pissed off or this or that, like we got something in the works for you.
Sweet.
Love that.
Can't wait to talk about that more.
Yeah, I can't. Me too.
We'll have to schedule one in a few months.
That's right. Won't be long, fellas. Won't be long.
Justin, we appreciate you hanging out with us as always.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
This has been fun, as always.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we'll be talking with Noah here next week. Yeah.
So proud. He's such a good dude. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's our pleasure. If anybody has any question at all, don't hesitate to reach out to Justin and Noah, the team over there at UpFrog. And if you have any questions for Josh and I, don't hesitate to reach out and ask us. But don't email Josh. He doesn't answer.
A little better on that one, huh?
Sending a Facebook message.
Yeah, I shouldn't answer all those ones either. I've been in trouble for that too.
Until we talk again next week, I hope you have a wonderful and safe week. We'll talk soon.
See you guys. See ya.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Service Business Mastery. Now that you are equipped with essential business advice from this impactful conversation, you are one step closer to becoming the successful owner of your dreams. If this episode has been helpful to your business journey, don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and share it with other owners as well. Visit servicebusinessmastery.com to learn more.